Today I want to show you about the program to analyze your papers online called PaperRater.com. I would not recommend it as the only source that you would use as a paper repository or as a paper checking system because the program doesn't check quite as successfully for plagiarism as Turnitin.com does, and the main reason for that is that Turnitin.com does have a full paper repository and keeps a copy of all of the work that goes into it on there. But PaperRater is really nice, free service that gives excellent feedback for the editing process, and so I will often have my students use it. This is the PaperRater website. You can get premium services at a price, but I just use the free service with my students, and there have been a lot of comments and appreciation from students in the past for turning them to this system because it is very helpful and something they can take with them to college as well. What you do is you go on to the website. You do not have to really put any information in or log in or anything like that. You just go ahead and click where it says to paste your work, and you just paste it right in just as I did. And if it was a research paper and it included a work cited, you would put that in down here, and that helps it to do the plagiarism check features that it does have. Down here you select your level of education. This is written by an 11th grader. I usually recommend for my honors and AP students to actually mark that they are above that level because then the expectations are set a little bit higher by the program too. You would select the type of paper that you're writing. This particular paper that I'm looking at is a paper that was sort of a review of a piece of literature, so I would just put an essay for this one. I usually instruct students what to note. And then plagiarism detection optional. If you skip it, it's the fastest, but it's really not very slow to include it, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. You agree to the terms of service and you scroll down. The only problem is it does, of course, have all of this sales features because it is free, but you go down to Get Report and click that. It should give you the report rather quickly. You can see right now it's scrolling through the document, and we will show you the report in just a second. And here we are. Usually it might take a minute or less, I would say, for the longer features. But this is precisely why I like it. Over here on the side column, it takes you through everything that you might need to know about the paper and gives suggestions on how to fix it. For example, I'll click on plagiarism detection. The box pops up here. And it gives you some feedback. There was no sign of plagiarism in this copy, and it gives an actual description of the originality percentage, kind of explains it. If there was particular things the student should look out for, it would actually mark that as well. The next thing underneath of it, and if you just hit the next button, it'll show you that, would be the spelling errors, and it actually specifically tells you what were the problems and highlights them in red in the document. So if you scroll over here, you can see that admixed that he put in there, and it gives you corrections or suggestions for corrections over here that you might replace them with, which you can actually go into the document and do that, but it really is not going to make a difference because you're going to probably print out your own version anyway. So I would suggest for the kids to either print this out, have it emailed to themselves or to their teacher, which they absolutely can, and kind of work off of that typically. The next thing it gives is grammar corrections, which it does in green. Anything that it notes as an issue, it will put in specific correction suggestions. It gives you word choice suggestions as well, and that's marked in blue. If something seems odd or out of place, it'll give suggestions for replacement words. And it gives you a bad phrase score. In this particular essay, he only got a 3.3 score on that, and that's not towards the good side. It tells him right here, ouch, looks like you may be employing some overused or distasteful phrases, and it's worse than average. So it gives a suggestion down here, and it is specific to the student as to what they might want to do to try to fix it. So that really is very helpful to the students as well for revising. It gives you a style score looking at traditional words, and that's looking at transitional phrases and looking at how successful those transitional phrases were. And it gives, again, lots of ample suggestions and ideas that you might follow through with to improve in that area. So that's really nice and helpful as well. Then it gives a style score here for the sentence length as well, telling you exactly how many sentences you have, the average length of those sentences, how many short sentences, how many long sentences, sentence variation, and it tells you essentially what you can expect of that. If he had done poorly in that, it would have given him suggestions on how to improve in that area. And it also gives a little indication down here of where you can go for help, giving you some helpful resources as well, which I really like that feature. The students who use it always benefit from that. It gives some style suggestions for sentence beginnings, says how many times that you used certain simple sentence structures, and tells you how many times you use different parts of speech. Gives you some resources for that one. Passive voice. You want to obviously in writing use a lot of active voice, so this can help benefit you in that area as well. This is a premium feature, so we won't get that one, but honestly with all the things that it does provide, it's very minor. Looks at vocabulary words and says how quality the words are that are being used and the quantity of those sophisticated words, and his score was excellent in that area. You can see on the scale and down here with the commentary as well. And again, if it was something that he needed help with, he could scroll to the bottom and get some resources to improve that area as well. And the other really fun thing that this website gives, and it explains that this is not necessarily the actual score you'll get from your teacher, but it gives them a letter grade suggestion. They would say that this is a B paper typically, and they're usually pretty accurate with my scoring. And I just tell the students this is something that would be sort of the mechanics score and probably the structural or organizational score that it would be reflecting more so than anything else. So it's just really essentially half of their paper, so they could bring it up from there or they could go down from there, but it's nice for the kids to see how well they're doing. Gives them some suggestions and places they can go to get a little bit of help here on the last page, and then they can send their results to me. And usually when I'm doing this as an assigned measure, like the first time that I have the students do it, I do ask them to send me their reports. Yes, my email inbox does get a lot of feedback there, but I can just have those routed right into a folder so that I just have that report from each of the students. So if I'm conferencing with them, we can take a look at what their PaperRater advice was and discuss what they did to try to improve in that. So that's really helpful. But again, this is PaperRater.com, and it's a feature I really like much more than Turnitin.com when it comes to paper advice, because I think that the editing advice comes so quick and so detailed from this source, and I really don't think you can beat it. However, as I said, for plagiarism detection, I would always go with Turnitin.com, the sort of traditional method for that.